Welcome back to Robots vs. Vampires, the show where sci-fi and fantasy collide. I'm Adrian Smith, your host for this wild ride.
And I'm Julia Jones, here to help you navigate the twists and turns.
Today we're diving into a story, a tale set in the scorching Sahara Desert. Think desperate travelers and a twist you won't see coming.
Deserts are always such compelling stories, you know? There's something about that unforgiving landscape
Right.
that really raises the stakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So picture this. A caravan is lost. Their supplies are dwindling with every passing hour under that relentless desert sun. Leading this caravan are Maya and her father. They're clinging to hope, a worn map, promising an oasis.
It's the classic adventure setup.
Right.
You've got the desperate protagonist, the unforgiving environment, and that glimmer of hope that could either be their salvation or their downfall.
Yeah, and just when that hope is about to disappear, a figure emerges from those shimmering heat waves, pale as moonlight with blood-red eyes. A vampire named Kadir.
A vampire in the desert. Now, that's not something that you see every day.
Right.
It makes you wonder what led him to such a desolate place.
Well, the caravan is terrified. They see Kadir as a demon, a threat. But instead of attacking, he offers them a deal.
Let me guess he knows where to find that oasis, but there's a price.
You got it.
A classic vampire dilemma.
He'll guide them to this oasis, but in exchange, he needs to quench his thirst.
Talk about a moral quandary.
Yeah.
They're desperate for water, but can they really trust a creature of the night with their lives?
Maya's father, knowing that they're out of options, makes a difficult choice. He offers his own risk to Kadir. It's a gesture of surrender, a recognition that their survival might depend on this unholy alliance.
Wow, that is a powerful moment. You can really feel the weight of that desperation and the unsettling nature of this bargain. It makes you question, how far would you go to survive?
The journey with Kadir as their guide is tense, unsettling. He's mostly silent, always observing. But it's Maya who finds herself strangely drawn to the vampire. She sees a reflection of her own fears and anxieties in his eyes.
It's interesting how the story flips the traditional predator-prey dynamic. There's this underlying tension, yes, but also a hint of something else, almost a sense of understanding or empathy. It really makes you question his motives. Is this just about survival for him, or is there something more?
And here's where things get really interesting. After days of hardship following Kadir, the caravan spots it on the horizon. A shimmering oasis, a paradise in the heart of the desert.
A glimmer of hope made real. But with Kadir involved, you can't help but wonder, is this oasis all that it seems?
Exactly. The story uses that classic Wham episode technique to really throw us for a loop. We think we know where things are headed, and then suddenly everything changes.
I'm already hooked. What happens next? Does the caravan make it to the oasis?
They do, but what happens when they get there is what really throws Kadir's intentions into question. And for that, you'll have to wait for part 2.
All right, so you left us with the caravan reaching that oasis.
That's where things get interesting. As the caravan, they rush towards that life-saving water, but Kadir hangs back. He watches them, but he doesn't join in their relief. He almost seems sad.
Sad? Really? That's interesting. It makes you think about that atoner trope that we see so much in fantasy sci-fi.
Right.
A character seeking redemption for past wrongs. Maybe helping this caravan was his attempt at atonement, but that sadness suggests a deeper internal struggle.
Like he's battling his own nature, wrestling with that darkness. He's trying to escape. Maya's father, overwhelmed with gratitude, he approaches Kadir. He says, "Join us, we owe you our lives." But Kadir, he refuses.
Refuses. What reason does he give for abandoning the caravan after leading them to safety?
"This haven is not for me," Kadir rasps. "My path lies elsewhere." And with a flicker of movement, he disappears back into the desert.
Wow, talk about an ambiguous ending. It leaves us with so many questions. Was rescuing the caravan a genuine act of kindness? Or was it all part of a bigger scheme? Is he running from something or towards something? I mean, we're left to just ponder the possibility.
That's what makes this story so captivating. It doesn't give us the answers. It challenges us to consider different interpretations. Was this a vampire seeking redemption or a predator playing a long game? What do you think?
I'm honestly torn. I mean, there's evidence to support both interpretations, that Kadir's actions could be seen as selfless, a way to prove that he's not bound by that stereotypical bloodthirsty vampire nature.
But they're right, there's also that sense of unease, that feeling that maybe we only glimpsed the surface of his motivations. Perhaps rescuing the caravan was just the first move in a much larger, more dangerous game.
Exactly. And the fact that it takes place in the Sahara Desert just really amplifies that feeling of isolation and mystery. Deserts are often seen as these places of extremes where that line between life and death is so razor thin.
Right.
It's the perfect setting for a story about a creature like Kadir caught between his nature and his desire for something more.
Like the desert itself is a metaphor for his struggle. That vast, unforgiving landscape, it mirrors his internal turmoil.
And think about how this story flips our expectations of vampire lore. We're so used to seeing them as these seductive, dangerous figures.
Right.
But here we have one who's struggling, seeking redemption in the most unexpected of places.
It challenges us to ask, can a vampire truly change? Can they break free from the darkness that seems to define them? And if so, what does that redemption look like? Does it mean isolation, self-sacrifice?
These are profound questions. And this story, despite its fantastical elements, it manages to tap into something very real, very human. That desire for redemption, the struggle against our nature. These are themes that resonate with anyone who has ever grappled with their own flaws and imperfections.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? This story with its vampires and desert oases, it makes us think about some pretty big questions.
Well, what I find fascinating is how the story uses the vampire, a creature we think of as darkness and evil, to explore this theme of redemption. It
Right.
challenges how we think about things and makes us consider that possibility of change, even for those who seem beyond hope.
And the ending, the ambiguity of it all, it's brilliant. We're left wondering, did Kadir really find redemption? Or were his actions driven by something much darker? It's open-ended. It makes us engage with the story, wrestle with its complexities, and ultimately come to our own conclusions.
Yeah, it reminds us that there aren't always easy answers in life.
Right.
Just like the shifting sands of the Sahara morality can be fluid, shaped by circumstance and individual choice.
Absolutely.
What might seem like a clear act of heroism could have unforeseen consequences, and even actions that seem monstrous might be driven by hidden motivations.
It makes you think about the stories we tell ourselves, about others and about ourselves. We label people as heroes or villains, good or bad, but maybe the truth is more nuanced. Maybe we all exist somewhere in between, capable of both great acts of kindness and terrible deeds, depending on the choices that we make.
That's such a powerful insight. And this story, by refusing to give us easy answers, it forces us to look beyond those labels. Acknowledge the complexity of human nature. It reminds us that even those who appear monstrous might be capable of change. And those who seem heroic, well, they might have their own darkness to contend with.
It's a reminder that the line between good and evil is rarely clear-cut. It's a winding path full of twists and turns, and each of us must navigate it as best we can. Make choices that hopefully lead us closer to the light.
Well said. And to our listeners, we hope this story has left you pondering the nature of redemption, the power of choice, and the ever-shifting sands of morality. Don't forget to rate and follow the show for more incredible stories where robots and vampires aren't just fiction, they're food for thought.
Until next time, keep exploring those unexplored edges of possibility.